Okay, guys, so we have music class today, which means we're not going to have enough time to do our reading lesson together. So instead, you get to watch this video in lieu of a lesson with me. In order to be successful, what you're going to need is your guided reading book. That's what I have here. I am open to the story, The Snake and the Charmer. That's on page 12. Make sure you have that out. What we're going to do is what we've been practicing so far in class this week. We've been talking about main idea and details in informational text. We've also been talking about strategies for close reading. Close reading, remember, is when we read a text, an informational text in particular, closely because our job as a reader is to learn about something. What are we learning about? Well, that depends on what the author wants us to learn about. So we have to figure that out. That is our job. If you remember our close reading strategies, the first strategy we had was to read the title and check out any pictures in this text. So the title is The Snake and the Charmer. And I see it right here in the title. There's a picture of this guy, and he looks like he has something on his head. He's playing an instrument that looks like a clarinet, kind of, but not. It's kind of a blurry picture, but I see a snake, what I think is a snake. Looks like a basket here. The title and the picture are supposed to help us activate any background knowledge we have about the topic. The topic seems to be snake charming. Do you know anything about snake charming? Have you ever seen that on TV or a movie or anything like that? So we're going to activate any of that knowledge. Maybe we know nothing about this and we have never heard of snake charming before. That's okay too. That's just going to kind of prepare my brain. Okay? The next strategy we have after we think about the title and look at any pictures is we are going to break this text apart into sections. Yesterday, we broke it apart into sections because we saw some spaces. This text is a little different. If you'll notice, there are some numbers on the side. The numbers are there to identify paragraphs. This is paragraph 1. And one of the reasons why I know this is a paragraph, a new paragraph starting, is because we see the indent. The first line is pushed over again a little bit. That's called an indent. That is used to show a new paragraph. So this 2 is right next to another indent, and the 3 is next to a final indent. So this is a 3-paragraph passage we're going to read. I'm going to draw lines to separate right underneath where a paragraph ends before the next paragraph starts. So right above that number 2 and right above the number 3. This is called, remember, this is called chunking. And we're chunking so that we slow down our reading a little bit and we slow down our thinking. My job is to read this paragraph, and before I can move on to the next paragraph, I have to make sure I was paying attention. What we're going to do is we're going to read, and before moving on, we're going to make a note. We're going to annotate. When we annotate, we use our margins. The margins are those white spaces on the sides. We've got margins on both sides. This one's kind of taken over by this little box here that gives us some information or some advice. So let's read this together and figure out what's going on. You have probably viewed the following scene in a movie or on TV. A snake charmer sits in front of a straw basket and plays a flute-like instrument. That reminds me of that picture up above. Suddenly, from inside the basket, a long hooded cobra rises up. As the snake charmer plays the music, the cobra sways back and forth. It does not try to attack the snake charmer. Instead, the snake appears to be swaying in rhythm to the music. Now, I want to point something out to you guys that we haven't really discussed quite yet, but it's going to come into play quite often, especially in writing class. This is called an introduction. It is introducing the reader to the topic. I'm going to write introduction here. It's introducing me to the topic. What do you think the topic is? What do you think? Well, if you said snake charming or snake charmers, then you would be correct. So I'll write topic, snake charming. One of the jobs of the introduction is to introduce us to the topic. The other job of the introduction is to hook the reader in. That means we're going to make the reader interested in reading more. There are so many different strategies for doing this. This author seemed to be doing something called this is a descriptive hook. Think about it like painting a picture with your words. This author really wants you to visualize this snake charming in action. I like to pay attention to hooks because as a writer, I like to steal them and use them. This hook is asking us to visualize a scene. Did you visualize that scene of the snake charmer? The snake charmer. Let's go back and look. What should we have been visualizing? A snake charmer sitting in front of a basket playing a flute-like instrument. Then the basket opens. A cobra comes up. The cobra sways back and forth. He's not trying to attack because cobras, I'm like, whoa, those are scary, right? Nope, he's going back and forth to the music. That's the scene the author wants us to visualize. Let's keep reading now that we're ready to continue. In reality, nothing could be further from the truth. What? Nothing could be further from the truth. That's like an idiom. That means, you know that scene you visualized? And you know the swaying of the music? That's a big hoax, fake news. Why? Why is that not real? Let's keep reading. The cobra is quite deaf. It has no ears and can only sense vibrations in the ground. The word deaf means it's unable to hear. Well, that makes sense. They don't have ears, so they can't hear. What the cobra sways to is not the music. It sways to the motion of the flute that the snake charmer moves back and forth as he plays. Interesting. The cobra is trying to get into position to strike at the flute. Strike at the flute. That means attack the flute. Remember back here what it said? It does not try to attack the snake charmer. Sounds to me like it really does want to attack the snake charmer, or at least the flute. However, as long as the snake charmer keeps the flute in motion, the snake cannot attack. So I'm thinking it won't attack it until it stops moving. So the snake charmer's job is to keep it moving. So again, once I've read a section, let me stop. What did the author want me to learn when I read that section? I think the author wanted me to learn that the cobra, the snake, is not swaying to music at all. I'm going to really emphasize not. That's interesting because I always thought it was like hypnotizing the snake. The cobra was all hypnotized, you know. I think I remember a cartoon when that happened, and then the snake's eyeballs were like these little swirlies. That means they're hypnotized, right? That's not happening. That's a joke. Okay, anyways, cobra not swaying to music. So the author wants me to learn something. Wants me to learn that snake charmers do not use music really to charm the snakes. Let's read the next section. The Indian cobra is a favorite of snake charmers because daylight interferes with the snake's ability to strike. Remember, the word strike means to like attack. At night, however, the Indian cobra is extremely dangerous and more accurate. Cobras don't normally attack people, however. Instead, they go after frogs, fish, birds, and small mammals. What do you think the author wanted me to learn from this right here? It seems to be saying a lot about attacking and striking, What about attacking and striking? Well, the Indian cobra is a favorite because it's not very good at striking in the daytime, but you got to be careful at night. It also tells me that cobras don't go around just attacking people randomly. You got to kind of tick it off, right? To me, this is giving me more information about cobras used in snake charming. Like, for example, why don't they use rattlesnakes? Why cobras? I think, if I were to guess, it's because they don't have very good aim in the daylight and because they don't typically attack people. So it's kind of safer. Maybe a rattlesnake would be a lot more accurate. I don't know. All right, so remember, now that we've read the text, we've done our close reading, we did our annotations, our notes. Before we move on, let's review. Let's use our notes to review. Well, this passage, the snake and the charmer, it's about snake charming. And in the beginning, we're visualizing a scene of what snake charming might look like. But the author wants me to know that cobras actually are not charmed by music. Cobras are used for snake charming for a couple of reasons. And that's kind of it. Now, that's brief because you know why? I didn't include details. That's just like basically what this is about, right? Have you ever had someone tell you about a movie and you're like, hey, cool, what was that movie about? And they're like, and then, and then, and then, and then, and then, and you're like, bro, you just told me the whole movie, spoiler alert, right? So that we don't want to do that. We just want to be like, really quick, what is that about? Oh, well, it's about snake charming being a big fake trick that snake charmers play. They're not actually hypnotizing snakes at all. Interesting. Let's go to the next page. And on the next page, we have that main idea chart that we ran into yesterday. So remember, in a main idea chart like this, the main idea goes on top, and then below it is the details about the main idea. You can I like to think of this as like a table. And these are like the legs on the table. I know there's 3. Think of it as like a cool, like retro table with 3 legs. All right. So these legs of the table support it. Without these legs, this main idea would be just like fall down, right? Because when we have a main idea, we need to give it support. We need to explain ourselves so that people actually believe me, right? So the main idea, what is this about? I think it's about snake charming. That's a topic, right? If I'm like, snake charming, is that a main idea? No, it's a topic, y'all. Okay. Remember, a main idea is an idea. It's a complete sentence. Okay. What about snake charming? Well, I think it's about how snake charming is not actually hypnotizing snakes with music. Something like that, right? I'm going to write something like, and you don't have to write the exact same thing. You can put it in your own words. Snake charmers do not actually, I'm going to say hypnotize. Even we didn't read the word hypnotize. I just like that word. Okay. So snake charmers do not actually hypnotize snakes with music. Now let's support that. Let's support that. It actually gave us one already. It says the cobra sways to the motion of the flute as the snake charmer moves it back and forth. So this detail is explaining, why do you see what you see? If this is true, why does it look like the snake is hypnotized? Well, one of the reasons why it looks like it is because the snake is moving back and forth, and that kind of fakes us out a little bit, right? What else do we know? How do people know that the music is not hypnotizing the snakes? Look back. Oops. wrong one. Look back here. Remember when we wrote this? I bet we're going to see a lot of good information here. For example, remember when we read the cobra is deaf? It has no ears? Well, that seems like good evidence. Like, how is a snake charmer going to hypnotize a snake with music if the snake can't actually hear the music, right? Okay, cobras have no ears. They are deaf. Okay, so that's a good piece of evidence. We've got two pieces of evidence. Let's find one more. Again, let's go back here to the part about cobras not actually swaying to music. So I read about the part about they are deaf. It sways to the motion of the flute, but that's the one they gave us already right here, right? So let's keep looking. So the cobra is trying to get in position to strike at the flute. That part about striking at the flute, that is a good piece of evidence, because if the snake really were hypnotized, it would not be trying to attack, right? So I might write, the cobra actually wants to attack the flute. So let's look at what we wrote again. The main idea of the story we just read, what the author wants me to learn, is that snake charmers do not actually hypnotize snakes with music. How do I know this? Well, I know this because cobras don't have ears. They're deaf. Also, cobras want to attack the flute. And when you see a cobra swaying back and forth, it's not hypnotized. It's actually swaying to the motion of the flute, because the flute is getting swayed back and forth. So the cobra is following it, trying to get into position, right? So there's my main idea and my 3 details. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to skip over this part. We're going to go down to the right part. We're going to write a short response. Explain how the key details about cobras help you understand the snake charmer's trick. That's our focus here, the snake charmer's trick. Include details from your chart, so use this stuff up here in your discussion. We didn't really discuss. Use the space provided on page 16 to write your answer. So again, what are we going to write about? We're going to write about this trick that the snake charmers do. Let's go. This is the space they gave us to write our answers. Okay? Now, the snake charmer's trick is they make it look like they're hypnotizing the snake with their music. Okay? Now, we haven't gotten too much into this, but we're going to. Let's think about hamburger paragraphs. If you're in my class, you know all about hamburger paragraphs. And that's how we're going to model our short response. A hamburger has a bun on the top. That bun is a topic sentence. The topic sentence is what we're trying to teach. It's our main idea. So my main idea when I write this short response is to teach you about the snake charmer's trick. Okay? So my topic sentence might be, snake charmers use a trick to make it look like they are charming. Charming means like hypnotize. I used that in the previous one. Cobras. That's my topic sentence. A lot of times our topic sentence comes from the question. Right here. Okay. this snake charmer's trick. I keep saying Jake Charmers. Anyways. So I've got my first bun done, my topic sentence. Think about a hamburger. Now we need some ingredients. The ingredients are those key details. If I look back at the previous page at my chart, let's look at our first key detail. Cobras have no ears, they are deaf. That's my first ingredient in my hamburger. Now, sometimes when I list ingredients, I could say things like, for example, cobras are deaf and cannot hear the music. That's number one. The cobra wants to attack the flute. The cobra actually wants to strike the flute. That's my second detail. And then this third one talks about the swaying. Why is it swaying? Because it's getting in position, right? It sways with the movement or motion of the flute to get into attack position. So I've got my topic sentence. It ended right here. This area right here of my hamburger, that's the ingredients. Those are the key details. Magic number is to have 3 of those, if you have noticed. Now, because this is not an open-faced sandwich, this is a hamburger, we're going to finish it off with a bottom bun. The buns are the topic sentences. So if Ms. Tanko ever says something about your buns, it's your topic sentences, I swear. All right? We're going to repeat our topic sentence. We don't want to repeat it exactly. We might want to change it up a little bit, but we want to remind the reader what we're trying to teach them. Okay? So I might say something like, these examples show the snake charmer's trick. I don't like the word show. I'm going to change that to explain, because that word explain was in the question. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so after watching this video and doing this work with me, you're going to do your exit ticket. Let's talk about what kinds of things will be in your exit ticket. You're probably going to need to type this paragraph for me. Sorry. Do it. You might need to remember and recall the main idea and the key details. You might need to know a little bit about an introduction. That an introduction's job is to introduce a topic and hook the reader. In this case, the reader was hooked in by being asked to visualize a scene. All right, remember, when you do your exit ticket, you're going to get a bad grade on that, but you're not going to freak out because that's not actually your grade. Okay, all right, good job, guys.